Hello, everyone, and welcome to Managing and Securing Your Unstructured Data at Scale. My name is Teresa Miller, and I'm a Principal Technologist with Cohesity.
And I'm Killian Englert, Director of Field Engagement here at Varonis.
So today we have a pretty exciting topic for you regarding unstructured data at scale and some of the work that Cohesity and Varonis are doing together. But before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about data. So these days, it's common to hear things like data is the new oil, and data is accumulating at exponential rates, and other statements that are very similar. There's no doubt that data is important, but to call it the new oil really implies that it's used just once. We believe that data is a digital renewable energy source, and that's because data actually becomes more useful and valuable the more it's used. But for most organizations, applications are generating massive amounts of data, and traditional solutions have limitations, and frozen data provides no value. So you need a modern solution to harness your data so it can continuously deliver value. So Cohesity offers SmartFiles. SmartFiles is one of the discrete offerings we provide on top of our Helios platform, specifically for managing files and objects. It's a software-defined solution, so you can deploy it on your choice of hardware to optimize cost of ownership benefits. And along with unlimited scale, it provides native multi-protocol support, simplified management, policy-based automation, and a built-in Google-like search engine. It also offers robust data security and protection, metadata-based intelligence, and modern multi-cloud support. Uniquely, we also offer a choice of integrated apps that you can install directly on the platform so that you can operate on your data in place. So, as promised, we are now going to get into what SmartFiles on the Cohesity side and Varonis are doing as a joint solution. So, by way of benefits, it's two-way. If you're a Varonis customer today, you are able to seamlessly integrate with the Cohesity side and gain insights into what's going on with your files and objects and unstructured data. And from the Cohesity side, well, you still get the benefit of leveraging SmartFiles and protecting your views with all of the other Cohesity benefits through a single pane of glass and a single management solution. With this joint solution, you get to take advantage of advanced security for SmartFiles. And all you need to do is go out to the Cohesity marketplace and download the app, and it's going to help you get started with a connector between Cohesity and Varonis. So, long story short, you're going to get simplification of Varonis and be able to leverage that for SmartFiles. You'll get the benefit of centrally managing and monitoring and protecting your unstructured data across the platforms. And you're going to be able to integrate with Varonis. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Killian for a little bit more information on how this looks from the Varonis side.
Thanks so much, Teresa. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to talk to everybody here today. The first thing that I want to go over are just really the questions that a lot of organizations face. First and foremost, one of the biggest questions surrounding the data that we have and store, especially on great scalable platforms like Cohesity, is my data at risk? Organizations struggle to answer key questions about their data protection, such as, can I quickly and accurately find sensitive data? But once I do that, I need to take it a step further. I need to put it in context of risk. Can I find out if that data is exposed to either the wrong people or global groups, putting my business at risk from such things as insider threats or ransomware? And then once I'm able to get that, once I'm able to get the visibility and the risk, I need to be able to answer the question of, can I protect this data without breaking anything? The flip side of the coin is being able to answer the question of, can I detect when something goes wrong? With workers working anytime, anywhere on any device between on-prem and the cloud, it's really difficult to understand what they're doing, how and where, and answer those questions of, is this normal? Is this expected? Or is something wrong? Then what I need to do is be able to take all of this information together in one place and detect threats that could be signs of APTs or malware groups. But it's not just about detection. Time to detect is critical. However, we need that time to respond to be just as fast, to connect the individual pieces of information together, to form a picture of what happened, and to triage potentially devastating events. And in between these two questions, I really like to think of the compliance question because it pulls from either bucket. Really understanding the types of data that we're storing, where it lives, how it's exposed or shared out or used is key to answering that am I compliant question. We need to understand where the data lives to make sure that we're following a privacy by design mindset. And we need to understand how the data is being used to understand if it is correct for the reason that it was collected. And then if the compliance officers or anybody asks, we need the information across all the platforms to be able to prove that back to them and help them understand that we have answers to these tough questions. And then if end users or customers come and ask, we need to be able to quickly produce the results of a data subject access request. All three of these questions can pose big challenges to organizations, but the Varonis data security platform can help answer those difficult questions. First, we look at all of the data stores in the environment. For example, the Cohesity platform, and we connect together with some of the additional on-prem infrastructure, such as Windows servers or 365 in the cloud. We also connect it with perimeter telemetry, such as VPN, DNS, and web proxy, as well as authentication telemetry from Active Directory. With all of these sources, we collect certain key pieces of information and combine them together to answer those tough questions. First off, we collect the user information from all of these platforms. We understand who is out there. Then we map it to the permissions on all of these platforms. So we understand what those users can do and what level of rights they have. We then connect it together with content classification. So we can start to get that risk perspective. We can see who can access what and where data is potentially overexposed to global security groups. Next, we layer in the auditing information. Here, we can start to build out patterns and profiles and understand how data is being used so we can spot deviations if people fall out of those normal patterns. In addition, by combining the auditing activity together with classification and permissions, as well as the user information, we can take action to reduce overexposed data and secure it. Next, we gather the perimeter telemetry so we can see where people are connecting to and from and what they're doing inside of the organization. Next, we connect it with the AD authentication telemetry so we can see where users are authenticating to and from and connect it with the rest of the platform to spot odd or anomalous behavior. With all of these different data streams connected together in unique ways, this is how we start to answer those tough use cases. If we look at one of the more sophisticated ransomware attacks that we've seen, they all follow slightly different playbooks in terms of tools and techniques and tactics, but we have a couple key pieces of information as defenders because we know where the attackers are going to end up. Attackers can get into organizations in a myriad of different ways, either directly through a VPN gateway or some type of vulnerability exposing internal servers. But once they're inside, this is where that standard playbook starts to pick up. They'll typically go to internal DNS servers to map out the environment and learn what resources are out there. Typically, they'll next focus their attention on Active Directory to start to elevate their rights, compromise additional accounts, and move laterally to different machines. However, at the end of the day, the attackers are always after one key resource, and that's the data. They're going to want to find it, they're going to want to steal it, and they're going to want to encrypt it. But it's not just limited to on-prem. attackers can get a foothold in many different ways. Oftentimes we see them targeting cloud repositories as an entry point because it holds a ton of very interesting and sensitive data. But what they can do then is pivot internally. So we see that there are a lot of commonalities between these attacks, but we know where they're always going to end up. And this gives us a chance to protect that data and defend against the attackers. One of the first ways that we do it is by prioritizing where we have data at risk in the organization. For example, locations containing sensitive data that are open to everybody in the organization. This is just ripe for attackers to target to either steal or encrypt this information. We put that in context so we can see exactly what types of data are exposed. And then we automatically learn how the data is being used so we can automatically take action and lock that data down by removing global access or removing individuals who no longer have that business need to access that information. By combining the telemetry from all of the platforms that we monitor together in one place, we can quickly alert when things start looking odd. Then we put that in context with other alerts that may have been generated to quickly investigate and respond to these threats and hopefully stop them before the data gets out of the organization. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Teresa, for letting me talk to everybody here.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to everyone for listening today.